Where's Kyle?
He's off.
Off today.
Are you taking Kyle?
Yeah, today I'm Kyle today.
Yeah.
I raise an objection under Sunshine Act, section 710.1C.
Certainly, stand up. Okay, state your name
Daniel Summa,
and your address.
Mill Street, Dunmore. The Sunshine Act, section 710.1, in regards to public participation, the board and council shall provide a reasonable opportunity at each advertised regular meeting. Is there another way to interpret the word shall in each in regards to public participation in
Is
710.1?
that your objection?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
So the school is not going to allow public participation?
Public participation is at our regular meeting. which is
It
on-
says at each meeting.
You want to let me finish? I let you finish. It says at each regularly scheduled meeting. Our regularly scheduled meetings are Wednesday night where we give public participation before we take any action. So anything that goes on here tonight, you can comment on the first thing Wednesday. That's the way we interpret the rule, that's the way it's been.
It says at each meeting, and this is defined as a meeting according to the
This is a
Sunshine
work
Act.
session.
It's defined as a meeting. Here, I have the paperwork here.
Mr. Summa,
Yes.
you can file a complaint with the authorities, you can file a motion in court, you can do whatever you want, but you're not gonna interrupt this meeting. We're gonna proceed, okay?
So you're not allowing public comment.
Yes, I'm not, okay? Thank you for your comment. Go ahead.
On this one. You take a look at that one. Should we hold this one off?
Hmm?
Should we hold this one off?
You can have that at the, under new business.
For tonight?
Yeah.
Okay, for tonight's meeting, it's a couple minutes after 6. On Wednesday night, we'll have to approve the minutes from the meeting of April 16th. And if we go to communications, we have numerous requests for use of facilities. Number 1 is the Scranton chapter of football officials. They're asking for 3 dates in the summer, in August, for a rules meeting and 1 field demonstration where they go on a football field and have demonstrations. Dunmore Little League is asking for use of the baseball and softball field for all makeup games for the teener leagues and for little leaguers to use the softball field as a practice facility when needed. And they also will have a limited concession stand to sell drinks and other smaller items. Everybody's okay with that. They did it last year. Ben O'Brien
Are
is...
they gonna be notified they can't go in the football field with drinks?
Yeah, they wouldn't be, but, yeah.
They wouldn't be.
Yeah, they have to be notified because of the stain,
Yeah, we know. Request from Ben O'Brien for a girls' conditioning program for the summer, from May 19th to July 31st. It will consist of lifting, running, and an open gym for all participants.
July 31st, did you say?
May 19th until July 31st.
We have
Okay, sorry, third.
we have signage on the fence around the field for that.
I believe we do, yeah. We have a request from the Small Wonders preschool for preschool graduation on June 13th at 7 p.m. They've been graduating there for many, many years.
They're paying all the expenses.
Yes. We have a request from Sherry Nicholas for her home football cheerleading, dance team, and silk squad and twirling camp for May 31st and Sunday, June 1st, and from 9 a.m. to 3 p.m. each day. This one, Will. We have a request from the NEIU. Mr. Muracco is our representative. They want to hold their in-service here on August 21st and 22nd. They try to move from a different school each year. They'll be using our auditorium and our cafeteria. There's no charge to us. They take care of everything. Nutrition Inc. will feed them. We already arranged that, so there's no one here. It's the Thursday and Friday before we start our program.
Now, Rick, that includes all the 20 districts, member districts, correct?
Whoever, I think it's all their staff, Joe. It's
Okay.
all of their entire
Right,
staff.
but from the,
Yes,
okay,
right, yeah.
thank you.
We have a request from Coach Hentes for use of the football field for the Dream Game. He's been selected as a Dream Game coach again, so he would like to use our facilities.
What would that be for?
Practice?
Summer summer
It's
practice.
not for the game itself.
No, summer practice,
Yeah.
summer practice, summer practice. And I got a request just this morning for the girls soccer team summer conditioning from Coach Baltricitis. We'll have to add that for Wednesday night. We received a letter from the Pennsylvania Department of Education regarding our national school lunch program, and everything was in very good compliance. We were short, I guess, $3.21 in an accounting error. So we got an accommodation for being in excellent condition on our lunch program. We have a request from Scranton Prep Football to take under consideration. We are opening a home, next year we're scheduled to play at Prep on Saturday, the first game of the season. They're asking if they can switch it to Friday night at Dunmore and rent the facility from us. So that's something you can think about over the next couple of days or a couple of months even. But they're asking to, in other words, we would be playing Prep at 1 o'clock on Saturday, say it's August 27th, and that's Saturday. They're asking to play Friday night here, and they will rent the facilities from us
Where do they play?
at Memorial Stadium. So we would have to go down there and send our buses down there, and
Would they be the home team then?
they're gonna be the home team, right? They're gonna be the home team. That's something that you can consider,
Is that just for that game?
just for that game.
That's not reimbursed.
Just for that game. There's no, they're not asking for rentals or any of that stuff. It's just for that game. They'd like to switch it for some reason. I think they're taking their home field advantage away from themselves, but. And we have a request, and I ran this by Matt, I did speak to Applebee's, is remodeling their restaurant up there. And they want to use pictures of all the local high schools' sporting teams. So I spoke to her today, Matt. She said that they really don't need, they don't get permission, but if they put a picture up and the student doesn't like her, they'll take it down. But she wants me to call her back if the board is agreeable, but I told her we still like permission and stuff, so I have to call her tomorrow. They
I mean,
frame
if
pictures.
she frames a picture and it's a picture that, she got,
Right,
that was published, that's one thing.
okay.
But if she's asking for pictures that she's going to purchase from one of the individuals who we let take pictures of our teams, such as, I forget the name of the company.
Bannock?
Bannock. If she's gonna purchase that haven't been published before, and she's gonna put them on the wall, and she has to have permission of all the students to use their likenesses. I'm assuming he gets those when
Yeah.
he does.
Yeah, he
those
puts it on
pictures,
the,
But I just
the
want to
program.
be clear that,
Right.
we're not invading anybody's privacy.
Right. Okay. Under personnel, we'll have to accept the personnel reports, appoint the athletic coaches, which we'll review in the personnel section, and appoint Patricia Mataloni as a senior project coordinator. Under
Wanna do
edu-
that under personnel? You wanna do
Oh.
that under personnel?
Yes, put that in, can we do that in executive session? 'Cause it really-
No.
Okay. Accept the resignation of Regina Garvey.
October 31st.
As a teacher on October 31st, 2014.
And
Okay,
that's gonna be personnel D?
personnel B.
Okay.
Thank you, Matt. Under education, we have to approve the special education plan. You know, we made one correction to that. That correction's been made. Junior high soccer, I left in front of you the approximate cost, what it would take to start a junior high soccer program. There was a request put in. So if you want to think about that, and
Would that be a, Rick, would that be a fall sport, I'm assuming?
that's a fall sport, and it's a junior varsity soccer program.
Junior high.
Junior high, sorry, junior high.
7th and 8th grade, I'm assuming, yeah.
7th and 8th grade, right?
Mr. McDonald, just a question. Are they basing the cost of this on X amount of participants when they go into uniforms and so on?
I think so. They're basically, you know, general costs, Mr. Durkin. Transportation about $800. Uniforms, brand new. The first year is $2,500, but then they get passed down from year to year. Officials, that's kind of a steady cost, $670. And the salary for one coach would be around $3,000. Okay. National French Contest. In March, all Dunmore High School French students took the National French Contest. 11 of our students placed in the top 10 of their respective grade levels. These 10 students will be honored at a ceremony on Awards Day. James Davenport, a Dunmore High School senior, will be honored for his second place score in the contest at the American Association of French Teachers in the Northeastern Pennsylvania chapter dinner on May 2nd. So it's pretty outstanding grades or test scores for those students. We have Ryan Carey and Nina McLean, Kayla Jarrow, Gina Tallow and Maurice Madrazo, Cessna Pindon and Alex Sabia and Casey Poston, and French forwards James Davenport and Juliana Cardillo and Casey Montero. And Mr. Davenport's name, I was just informed today that the Channel 16 or 28 is going to interview them for Monday. Davenport is one of our great history buffs, along with 3 other students, and they'll be on the 4 o'clock news on Monday for Memorial Day. They're going to interview them outside the school about their thoughts on Memorial Day. But he's a really good history buff, Mr. Davenport is. Continuing with our National French Contest, the Northeastern Chapter Pennsylvania, Dunmore School District had 8 students who scored in the top 20. There was only one school ahead of us, that was Wyoming Seminary, and there were 4 other schools who were below us. So again, our French people are doing an outstanding job with these students. Our National Spanish exam, all of our students in Spanish have done an excellent job again. This is from Taracupa. We have 11 students who received honorable mention, 14 bronze medals. Now, this is the national test, 2 silver medals, and a 90th and a 92nd percentile, that's nationwide now, and 1 gold medal, 99 percentile nationwide. And the 99 percentile student was Mave King, and we had the 92 percentile was Maddie Martin. And there's a number of other students here. So again, the languages are doing very, very well. And those are national exams. We also we received a call from Erin Harrington's mother. Erin Harrington was a DHS graduate of 2010. She won a Fulbright scholarship at the University of Pittsburgh. She will be traveling to Russia. The Fulbright scholarship is one of the highest honors a college student can receive. It is an extremely competitive process with the top students in the country applying for these scholarships. To be selected as a Fulbright scholar, one must be committed to international engagement. They must possess innovative ideas, creativity, and a knowledge that transcends borders. They must exemplify power of international academic exchange to help transform lives, bridge geographical and cultural boundaries, and promote a more peaceful and prosperous world. So we're very proud of Erin Harrington. That is an amazing honor to get a Fulbright scholarship, and she's a graduate of 2010. Yep. The busing for the Howard Gardner School. Howard Gardner became a charter school 2 years ago. They moved their building to the former Friendship House on East Mountain, and we are making arrangements to bus them there for next year through our busing company, which we think will reduce our transportation costs. This year we had to bus them privately because it was too quickly to do that. So we're going to trying to make arrangements for it with our busing company. Well, we all actually have to bus them up there. Mr. Dan Roche from Bloomsburg came and met with our leadership teams. last Friday, and he is reviewing our schedule for high school and middle school, and he is working on a number of options for the Dunmore School District, which he hasn't gotten back to us yet what they are, but he gathered a number of information, and we'll be looking forward to hearing from him.
Just my opinion on this. I wonder whether we shouldn't ask him to come to the next board meeting in June, or else our board committee ought to meet with him at some point. Because I don't like, we usually don't get together in July, so from June 18th till August 18th, 2 months, we don't know what's going on. And I don't want to come in on August 18th and have him say, well,
Mr. Holtham, I think we
Maybe
said
see.
that, I think we said there was no, gonna be no changes for
I know
the
that.
following
but,
school year.
You know, I'm just wondering what progress he's making or what, that's only my opinion.
Yeah.
I think we should meet with him and talk to him.
We
The whole
can,
board wants to
we can
find,
call
not
him.
just that
Yeah.
committee.
What do you think, George?
Well, definitely, I like Bob's idea.
Yeah, I do.
Whether we wanna do it as a committee or if everybody wants to.
I think you would enjoy meeting him, and he's really committed to, that's what his passion, I guess you would say, in life is, he
Next.
schedules.
Want to have for a month, the work session for June?
I can ask him.
Ask him if he's available, or we'll have to change our work session for him if he's not available.
We might have to change the meeting for June anyway, because the budget has to sit for 30 days. And because the May meeting was late, we have to, our meeting has to be at least, May 20, or June 21st
30
or
days
after.
after.
So I'm thinking it might be the 23rd, 25th meeting for the, so we might have to change that, but we could see it, maybe what he's available first, and then as long as it's after the 21st.
I won't be here, but that's okay.
Everybody okay with changing it? We have to let the budget
The
sit.
23rd is June, I know I won't be here.
But we could do it all on the 25th.
Yeah, it's a,
It just has to be after the 21st.
you have to have 30 days with a budget rest.
I'll be gone away.
Well, we can figure it out.
If he can't make it, then we can always have him come to our committee meeting, right? And we can make a report to the
He
board.
can, he can come, yeah, he's,
Well, I'm saying, if
Yeah.
there's something, you know,
Mhm.
scheduled, it's nice to have him address
Yep.
9 of us, though, you know?
right.
To approve the budget, you only need a 5-minute meeting.
Right, right.
Right.
We can have our regular meeting, and then we can have a budget
You can
meeting
do that
anytime
too.
before the
You can have your
30th.
regular one and then
We could have it at
the
noon,
following
and
week
we've
for the
done that
budget one.
before, yeah.
We've done that a lot.
Yeah, we could do that too. So
We did
whatever,
that last year.
yeah, just came in and,
Why don't we
For the
just
pur-
keep the meeting as is?
and then just do a budget
Just
meeting
do the
another
budget
time.
meeting.
Get 5 people here at noon someday.
Yeah.
Okay, we'll figure that out.
Also, the last thing under education is the Bonsai financial educational tool.
What time in the morning is good for you?
Uh,
I leave by 7:30.
Well, 5, I know 5 was, you get here at noon, right? Tuesday or Thursday, I can. Tuesday or Thursday, 6
Well, we
and,
could figure that out.
there's 4 and 2, right?
Okay.
But just-
Yeah, I understand. That's not a problem.
Okay, we'll work it
We'll
out.
figure it out.
I just wanted to put this in, this Bonsai financial literacy tool, which is very important for our students these days. We've been using that in our 8th grade with Mrs. Telnock for the last 2 years. It's a 4-day program where they go over all type of financial rules and income tax and savings and all that. And now we're going to use it in our accounting class, and also we're going to try to get into our seniors, because a lot of these students don't understand when you use credit cards, you have to pay them back when they get to college and student loans and that type of stuff. So it's a good program, and it's free from the Penny's Federal Credit Union. Okay, Internet under finance?
All right, we'll have to approve payrolls of April 25th and May 9th, accept the treasurer's report for April, accept the payment for those to bills, accept the activities reports for April, the wage tax collection report for April, award the bids for school, our maintenance and custodial supplies. We sent out bids, we got everything back, we picked the lowest, most responsible bidder. I even went over them with some of the teachers, you know, the art department, the science department, because sometimes the lowest stuff is not what they want, so we got all that stuff, that's all gonna be ready to be ordered after July 1. We need to appoint a board treasurer for another year term. George, you willing? One more year,
Board
okay?
wants me.
Before George.
I'm met with success.
Want to skip the budget for now? We'll do that last. Depositories, we have all the same ones. It is the First National Bank for the general payroll, capital reserve, and elementary student activity funds. We have Fidelity Bank for cafeteria, athletic, middle school and high school activity funds, the scholarship fund, and the Anthony Romanini Trust. We have the state treasurer's fund for the general investment fund, and we use Penn Star Bank for a special needs account. So we have various local banks all involved here. Approve the career tech budget for 14-15. The career tech budget has decreased about $5,000 from $240,000 a year to $235,000. So could thank Jimmy for that, I guess, if he was here.
That's a good thing, right?
Yeah, it went down. Not many expenses go down. Approve the homestead report. What that is we get that from the assessor's office. There are 3,106 approved homesteads. That means they will get that tax reduction automatically on their tax bill. Every year, if you've already got it, you will get it again. But as properties change transactions, they have to prove that they are the primary, homeowner. You can't get this exclusion on your second property. So every year, some people do have to renew, and it goes up and down. But of those 3,106, they should get about $108 credit on their tax bill. Approve a contract with government software services to print the tax bills. We've been using them all the years I've been here, and they have not increased their prices to print out our tax bills. And award a one-year contract with the food service management company. We had to put out food service management for bid, because what it is it's a one-year contract with the option of renewal 4 years. So every 5 years, you have to completely go out for an RFP. We went out, we got 3 proposals from Nutrition Inc., who is our current provider, Metz Corporation, who is out of Dallas, and Food Services Contracting Company, which is George, I'm not sure how you say his last name, Petrucci. Of those 3, Rick, Ellen, and I were on a committee. We sat down, we had a grading scale, which was part of the RFP. They knew what they were going to get graded on. Of those 3, we independently did grading marks of 100, and all 3 of us unanimously graded Nutrition Inc. the highest. So we're recommending to renew with them for another year, and then we can renew, for 5 years if we want to. We can just renew their contract. Otherwise, if we're not happy, we can go out for bid again. But we're very happy with their service. As you heard earlier, our audit came back almost perfect. They've been doing a great job for us. We have a great relationship with them. We felt their highest points were they're in more schools than any of the other companies that bid, more public schools. Some of them even have private schools, but you can't even compare because they're not on the National School Lunch Program with free and reduced lunch. Their financial statements were good. The other big thing was one thing we request is resumes of the food service manager that we're going to have. And the Metz, which was the second best company, we were not happy. This person was only with the company a year, did not have much school experience. So we feel much more comfortable staying with Nutrition Inc., and that would be our recommendation. I have all the proposals there. If anyone wants to see the grade sheets, I could show you them. Yeah. And
Anthony, everything will be the same thing with the personnel?
yes.
No changes in that, right?
No. They reserve the right if enrollment were to drop. There's certain things that,
Right.
if enrollment drop or participation drop drastically, they can always, change personnel. I think they've changed a few hours here or there, but they haven't changed anything drastically yet.
Thank you.
Okay. I did just get today, if we can add an N, approve a one-year contract with NovaCare. NovaCare is, Sprint has now changed to NovaCare, which is the athletic trainer service that we have. They did increase their price $1 an hour. It used to be $22.50 an hour. We pay them as we use it, but it's maximized at 1,100 hours a year. I don't think we've hit that or gone over that in the 4 years that I'm here. And in the 4 years that I'm here, they have never raised their price. This is the first year that they are raising. So as much as I hate to have it go up, it is reasonable that in 4 years they're raising it $1 an hour. So, and we still are retaining Maureen Burke is still the trainer. So everything really stays the same. It just switched from Sprint. NovaCare took over. So now, if you'd like to go.
Anthony, just one
Yes.
question. The healthcare, when do we have the total year for?
Well, not till, you won't
Not till
really
the
get it
end
till
of
after,
June?
even after, because
After June, early July?
but we did get our renewal, which is in the budget. It was 2% increase, which I'm very happy
Oh,
with.
that's really good.
Really happy.
I was just curious.
Yes, we
Based
came in
on how
really,
much,
I was
Yeah.
very, very happy, and our,
I don't know, 10 or 11,
oh,
we were thinking.
2% is,
Yeah.
and I'm thrilled with.
We're averaging 10 or 12% for like
That's
4
what
or
I'm
5
saying.
years in a
Yeah.
row.
I was just curious how, because
Yeah.
we're almost done with
I mean,
the
they
year.
had to give us a renewal number
Right.
earlier, but we won't really see till all the claims, I mean, I think there's like a couple month lag. So before, until they all come in, you know, you really don't know. But I'm meeting with the Blue Cross representative, Michael Cummings, on Friday to sign the renewal, but yeah, 2% renewal.
What happened, is that tail over?
Yes, and that's you'll see in the budget as a one-time refund.
Okay.
Yes, for the NEIU consortium, you'll see when we go to the budget, yeah,
Right.
we'll get that back. Okay, so let's get to, what I handed out
Oh, that was done.
was a more detailed account of the budget. I sent home with you just the right there, yeah. I sent you just the summarized version, but this will be the detailed version of the budget. Spread out here. Okay. Okay, so first, we're gonna look at the revenues. We have local revenues, state revenues, and federal revenues. Local revenues are what we raise mainly in our local taxes, the school taxes. So I have here the four columns. Budget for 13-14, what I think 13-14 is gonna come in at, and then our budget for next year, 14-15. With the local revenues, I have it with and without the tax increase, okay? As you can see, we're coming in a little under budget in our current real estate taxes this year. That's mainly due to two large accounts that did not come in, that amount to about $140,000. Next year, we do have a little, the hotel, is it Best Western now, used to be the Holiday Inn, and North American Warhorse. Two big ones, so.
You notify them?
It's turned over to collection with the county. That's how, and then they remit back to us. I have to return it over. The hotel is 2 years now. I talked to Sally Judge North America, she can't believe that they didn't pay. I mean, I do think we'll get that. But the hotel is 2 years.
After 3 years, then it goes
They
to.
put a lien, I mean, what does the county
Well, there's
has?
a lien on it, but then the county goes after them.
When the auction happens.
Usually when they get behind 3 years, I think
That's
it
what we'll
goes
probably
to.
see, if they pay one.
Right,
They'll pay 1 year and always be in arrears too.
right.
So as you can see, I get new assessment numbers too, and the one KOZ property is coming back on, so I do expect a little bit more in 14-15. The difference between with the tax increase and without is about $212,000. On an average household, that'll mean about $29 more in taxes.
How many mills is it?
It'll go up to one. We're at 100.45, it'll go to 103.1.
Wait, we're at 104.
We're at, right now, we're at 100.45 mils.
100.45,
If we raise it to 2.7%, which is the index, it'll go to 103.16.
A mill's 75,000, right? Approximately.
70,
That's a
yep.
3 mil increase?
No, about 2.5.
I think it was about 78,000,
2.5.
so it'd be like below 3 mils, yeah.
2.61 then.
Anthony, on local revenue.
Yes,
Up there where Penn State Extension is, where they built those dormitories, are we getting revenue from them?
that's what just came back on. Right, that's
No,
one
no,
that just came back
I
on?
think John means the new
No,
ones.
the new dorm.
They put
Oh,
two
I-
apartment
They
units.
put apartments up.
I believe so, I'd have to look
Yeah.
at. I'd have to
I
And
think-
check.
they're not
I
part of the
believe
school,
so.
they're private, I think they're.
They're privately owned,
They're
right.
privately owned.
I will double check with Sally,
Yeah.
who does our.
I was just
construction,
curious.
but
They weren't
I
on the
believe,
KOC.
no, they never
That's
were.
what I,
They
well,
should
when
be
she
on
mentioned the
right,
KLZ,
right
that's
from
what
the
hit me.
beginning.
That was, I don't think they were included in the KLZ, number one.
No, they should be
I
right
don't know
on.
if they're masked as being part of the school, but they're not,
No, they should.
they're privately owned.
What is, I don't even know what they're called, but I can check. in
I don't
there.
know, I don't know either, they built one last year,
I'll check with Sally.
and I understand they're building another one.
Okay.
And the one close by there that the county used to own that was sold, there's 75 apartments there.
That's the one you're
That's
talking
the
about.
one.
That's the
old-
old,
that's
That's the one that's coming off the KLZ, right,
Right.
yeah,
Right.
yeah.
That was 2013 was their last year.
So we
And
should
what
get
was
the
the,
2014 tax.
when were they assessed? Do we know what they're assessed at?
That should be a nice shot in the arm,
We
those
reassessed
doors.
them.
They're nice buildings, I saw them up there.
Yeah,
They reassessed it, and they went up a couple of million.
Yes.
I can't
yes.
remember what the number
We have
was,
to-
but.
right.
Can we find out what that
negotiate.
assessment
Yes,
is?
I will. On
Matt
the
went to the
KLZ?
hearing, and
Yeah.
they did bump it up a lot.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah, because that's the one we got the appraisal on, we paid for the appraisal to
Right.
fight it, yeah.
Right.
Okay, so I'll find out about those two things.
And can we look into what other cuts? We've made numerous cuts. We all know that. Is there something else we can look at to lower some costs? Is there anything else? Maybe you and Richard could look
Well,
into that.
I've been, over the past months, the way I look at it is we have more of a revenue problem than an expense problem. Our staff, I believe, is very lean. Our special ed costs, I don't know how, there's some of those that are out of our control.
How much have they gone up?
Well, before we get there, I'll just show you that our special ed revenue has been flat since I've been here. It's been about $812,000 for about 4 years. Our costs have gone up hundreds of thousands of dollars every year, but our special ed funding has been flat. And that's where I say we have revenue problems with
I
the
think we
state.
cut 6 or 7. I talked with Ricky earlier today and a couple times the last couple of weeks. It was what, 600,000 or 700,000?
I believe it was 750,000 about 4 years ago, 5 years, we cut positions, we cut.
We've got 11 positions since I'm here.
$750,000.
It's fair to say we probably cut close to $1 million.
We're at as low as
More.
possible staff
Staffing,
as we could
absolutely.
possibly be. You know, one cost-cutting measure was that busing for Howard Gardner, that's 14,000, but we're getting down that low. I looked at that and I felt we could save 14,000, at 5 years, that's
And
$75,000.
we've taken back everything we could take back from the IU?
We've taken most of it back, yeah, we're not large enough population-wise to take them all back.
Oh.
For each class, you have to have.
We have a lot of elderly on fixed income. And would you say there's a household $30? It's more in most cases.
That's
That's
on an
the- that's the
average,
average.
$11,000 assessed property.
Yeah, most.
If you look at all the other local revenue, very flat. On the bottom, refund prior year, this is.
Wherever I'm at socially in our town, a senior citizen always approaches me and tells me, don't raise the taxes. I'm sure everybody gets the same, when you're somewhere.
Sure.
So we have to look at it from all angles.
You can see a one-time revenue in the refunds prior year, $350,000. When we left the IU, they kept our reserves for runoff claims. And our reserves, when we left, were about $400 and some thousand. They're down to $350 now because claims were paid. As I see the claims coming in now, they're little by little. I mean, we're over a year old now, so these would have to be claims from prior to June 30th, 13. So I spoke with Michelle Homich at the IU, and I have an email into Carol says, we should be getting this back in January of 15. So in next fiscal year, we should be getting that back. So that's a one-time thing. I mean, this is not gonna happen year after year after year. This is a one-time thing of refund of money that we paid into the IU. So again, don't, look at that revenue number as something that's going to continue. It's a one-time thing. And that's what I'm saying. Our revenue is very flat there for local. You go over to state revenue,
Is that 350 in the 15 budget?
it's in the 15 budget, yes.
It's in the 8.
Down here, the 350 is down here.
You said that's not coming, is it coming this year?
Yeah, these are both 1450, one's with the tax increase and one is without. So they're all the same except for this number here is up to 12.
This number's in here.
No. This number's in 1415,
Okay.
and this is 1415 with just a tax increase.
Mhm.
So the budget's either gonna be this or this.
Mhm.
They're the same year, just
Okay,
with
all right.
different numbers for the current tax. State, basic ed, we got a whole, $9,000. Nothing. That's like not even a 0.1%. Like I mentioned before, special ed, flat. Transportation even has gone down a little. Rentals is our refund on our bond. As that goes down, we pay our bond payments, that money goes down. Medical and dental is the same, so security is gonna go up a little bit based on more salaries you pay. The other big thing, yes, this looks like we have a bigger revenue in retirement contributions, but as you'll see on the expense side, when you pay more to the pension, you have double that in the pension expense. So pension went from 16% to 21%. So yes, when we get a little bit of refund by that, we get more in revenue, but it's misleading because you're paying more. So it doesn't offset it, it's just a little bit more. What the governor is promising, and I have it in the budget, is a ready-to-learn block grant. Our share of that is $199,000. As you can see, the PA accountability grant was $81,000 last year, expected to be that this year, but we're supposed to be getting $199,000. That is not set in stone. I watched a video today from PASBO, and they said, you know, it is an election year, he's promised it, he's saying he's giving more to education. Hopefully that won't be something he's taking away, but I'm sure you've all heard that the state has been under in their revenue collections, so their budget is worse than they expected, so can they give what they've been promising? We won't know. And that's the problem. We have to pass budgets, but they don't pass theirs yet, so we don't know exactly what we're getting. It's really hard to do. And the last thing is that homestead, and that is what we divide by the 3,100 households, and then where they get their $108 credit. So if you look at state revenue, it looks like it went up, but the main reason why it went up is that $850,000, the increase in the pension reimbursement and the ready-to-learn block grant. That's the two things. And like I said, the pension's misleading because you pay more in pension to get a little bit more back, and the ready-to-learn block grant we hope we can get. Federal revenue, all the stimulus money is gone. All we get now is IDEA, Title I, and Title II, which have all been going down. Again, these help fund special education. They're flat or lower. Medical reimbursement, I had to decrease that because we are not getting back as much money. This is the access fund billing. There's been issues with that all year with third-party liability that people aren't getting, we're not getting back as much money. And they've also changed everything you can get reimbursed for, so you can't get reimbursed for as much stuff to begin with, and it's harder to get back.
Are we billing out as much as we can?
Yes.
Yeah.
And there's just a backlog, I mean,
I think
we're
they
not,
took
it's
away
across the
They
state.
took away the IEP meeting billings. We used to be able to bill
And any
for
collateral
IEP.
billing, you can't bill for any of
Took it
that.
all away.
But even what we are billing, that is right, we've gotten $7,000 this year. Now, granted, we have money in our account that we draw down on, and that's what I get the revenue from. But to build it back up, the billing isn't going in because there's been issues with third-party liability signing off and saying that we can get the money, and that's a statewide problem.
Okay.
So,
But
I'm hoping it gets
we're
fixed.
still billing.
we're billing everything we can. That's what Sandy and Fran work on every day.
And then how much was the stimulus more than what we're getting now? Like, what was the differential between when we had the stimulus or getting the money from the
Well,
federal?
We had double, we had $1.2 million in federal revenue back in 10, and now we're down to 600, 568.
It was a huge chunk. As we hired a literacy coach,
Huge.
a math coach, we hired those positions with that money. When they took it away, we eliminated those positions.
Again. So total revenues are running around 17 million. Could get up to 18 million with the tax increase, but please remember there's 350,000 in it. It's a one-time, once and done revenue. And the 199 is iffy. So the expenditures, first I like to look at it by category. This is overall, and as you all know, salary benefits account for most of our budget. And then financing the bond increase. If you add all those up, that's 76.5%, which we can do really nothing about. I mean, salaries are contracted, benefits between PCERS and healthcare is contracted, and financing is our debt payment, which actually we are trying to save money a little bit on the financing there. Those costs are fixed. So 77% of our budget is fixed. The remaining that we purchase and buy is what we can try to control, but with special ed costs and other things, it's even hard to do that. So we'll go through the expenses one by one. Salaries, I do expect them to come in right about budget. We did have the contracted increase. As you know, we settled in the middle of the second year of a 3-year contract. So when we did the retro back to the first year, we did have that accrued, and it was before our books were closed out, so that retro payment was actually pushed back to last year. So that, we didn't get a double whammy in this year of paying last year and this year. So this year's increase was budgeted, so you won't see any major overages in salaries because we did budget the contracted increase. However, next year with the contract for next year, the last year, there is about $290,000 total of increase in salaries. $250 for teachers, $30 for support, and $25 for admin, which is going to make salaries go from about 8.1 to 8.5, 8.2 to 8.5. So that's contracted, can't change that, and like we said, we are probably as low staffed as you can be. And with an increase in salaries, if you go to benefits, you're gonna have increase in benefits. Because salaries are going to change your social security costs and your PCERS, your pension costs. So between those, PCERS alone, is $477,000 increase. So, and that's been every year, and if you continue to go out, we're at 21% next year, we're gonna be at 25, 26% for the next however many years until they fix something with the pension. We said before though, my healthcare costs, I'm very happy with that very small increase in healthcare. So at least that did help this part of the budget. But everything else in that benefit part is gonna go up because of mainly PCERS and then the other social security costs. Purchases services, that's the next one. This is where I will continue to look at, but this is where we count all the stuff that the services we pay for, such as internet, the NEIU special services, solicitors, auditors, tuition, and by tuition I mean when we have to send kids out to placements, transportation, insurance, and maintenance contracts, you know, paying heating, ventilation contractors, people to fix or inspect the elevators, all sorts of stuff like that. But the big ones here are sending our kids to special placements, and Rick, you can elaborate with how
Our
many kids
special
we have
education
out.
costs have increased every year for the last probably 6 or 7 years. We're getting increasing a number of students who cannot participate in schools at our buildings, and we have to send them out to programs by the NEIU or other agencies, and they're very expensive programs, but it's a significant amount of money, and it continues to rise each and every year.
And on top of that is also charter school costs, which I think when I started here, we had maybe 7 kids in charter schools. We have 27 now. We had 9 in Howard Gardner alone that we never had before this year.
That's when
So
they got their charter 2 years ago, and there was already 9 kids enrolled. No one left
It wasn't
here
that they left
to
it, right,
go
they were
there. They
there.
were already enrolled. It was the former Montessori type of program. So that's $80,000 right there that we never had included. And again, these cyber charter schools, we're getting increases there, so.
That's a place, but I don't know how we can control to cut that. And that's where I see a big increase. You see about a $200,000 increase there. Supplies, and this has been fairly consistent every year. Now, you do see in the budget, this is where we put in for the new math series. If you recall, when Matt talked about it, we can buy the math series with the workbooks for 1 year at about $60,000, or if we went to the $100,000, we could go the 5 years, all the consumables, we wouldn't have to pay that for the next 5 years. It's a better deal. However, we really have to evaluate if we can afford that or not. I have the $100,000 in there. We can always knock it back to the 50 or 60 and do the 1 year. But right now, that's why you're gonna see that big increase of $100,000.
Maybe because we're getting that one-time perk from the Roth insurance money, $350, might be a good year to do it.
Well, that's why I put it in there, yeah, because
You know?
then in the next years, you know, maybe we'll
Yeah,
have a
right.
savings and
Yeah.
see, and God only knows what's gonna happen if we get a new budget, governor, maybe we'll have better
Maybe.
revenue, but I don't know.
Yeah,
But-
maybe.
But supplies, I mean, I asked the principals and all the teachers when they bring their budget back to try to stay within, you know, last year's or cut, and I mean, I don't see any excess of spending there. I mean, every year, you gotta buy new.
This is the second year, Holiday. What's the name of that place? Holiday Inn or Holiday Inn?
I think it's Best Western now,
Best
this is the second
Western?
year, yes.
This is the second year, so next year they're gonna have to pay.
Okay.
Something,
They're gonna
That'll
have
be
to
in
get
the
paid, they have to pay the sheriff's sale.
Let's see, equipment. We did pretty good this year, I didn't buy as much as we budgeted, but next year I do have a bunch of technology, which you do want to try to keep up with. With the new math series, a lot of the lower grades would like the smart board so that they can teach it on that. We talked about getting iPad carts over there, and over here a new laptop cart in the high school. So that's all in there, budgeting, but you know, that's not the stuff you want to cut. It keeps you current, and you have to keep replacing your equipment. Because, you know, as you know, those computers get obsolete in 3, 4, 5 years.
Any grant money out there for that technology stuff?
Not much,
I don't know.
Not much.
Not much.
Well, down too, it used to be a little bit.
Well, that Classroom for the Future grant, that's what
That-
happens. You
we-
bought all this stuff, then you have to keep it current, and
We
they take
received
it
all of
down.
that, that's what we bought, everything with the
Yeah,
smart
remember
boards,
that,
and the laptop up here, and that ran out 3 or 4 years ago.
So, the financing, I think you're aware, I had been talking to RBC, well, every year I talk to RBC, you know, we do our annual report, and I've been talking to them, this is the year to refinance. We do have another firm trying to see if they can refinance traditionally with the bank, and I guess we're gonna see where that is gonna come back at, but I don't know that a normal bank financing will beat a bond financing, because the bond rates are so low right now. I have an estimate, conservative estimate in here of saving $150,000. That was with RBC refinancing the bond, not lengthening the term, just refinancing it at lower rates, and we can save money next year. And that is also a one-time thing. That's gonna be $150,000 in the first year, and then normal financing after that, but
You don't have that in the budget.
I do. I do. That's why it's going down from the 1.2 to
Either,
1.
either company's gotta,
We gotta get
Let's
savings.
say-
I mean, I know.
Oh, wait.
Either bond individuals or the bank.
We're waiting on
Right.
the other proposal, Antoinette, or?
Yeah, I thought we were supposed to be getting one. I thought we might have it today, but I didn't hear anything.
Okay.
I don't know that the,
Mhm.
I don't know, just with the bond rates, I mean, they're so low, I don't think a bank could beat it, but I guess we'll see. But I have 150,000 in there. There's times that it's been up to 200, but I didn't wanna get too,
Mhm.
I'd rather be a little conservative on that, but I think we
You
could
received
save.
the number from, what's the name of the first company?
RBC,
RBC.
yeah, I received a number of close to 200,000 savings.
Mhm.
But I conservatively just put the 150 in there in case things change. So,
And when's the other one expected?
soon, I think very soon, because we have to make a decision. The way the bonds works and the call dates and all, we have to make a decision in June
Mhm.
as to, you know, what we're going with, so.
Well, both companies will be the same on the bond, it's what the fees are going to be for the individual. The bond from both companies has to be the same that day.
No, Mike, they're not both bonds.
Yeah,
No,
but the
well,
other one,
I'm not talking about the
Right.
bank.
Okay.
I'm talking about the two companies that are proposing.
well, they weren't though, and I,
No, because the days
The
you.
different days, yeah.
The day you checked with the one.
Right.
It was higher, so the day when we pull the trigger, they'll both have to have an opportunity. Right? I mean, that's only fair.
well, I guess, I mean, I'll have to compare apples to apples, yeah, that's what we'll have to
I
do.
mean,
That's what you have to do.
the bond has to be the same for both companies, it's.
Right, I know, I
The
guess
savings is going to
I
come
just-
in the fees.
Right,
Right, exactly. They're both gonna buy it, and buy it, what they're gonna charge us.
Right.
So that's what you gotta look at.
okay.
The bonds out there, company A and company B are.
They're
gonna
both
go-
using the same
Well,
bond.
they're gonna buy that bond, it's gonna be available to them there. It's not what they
Just
wanna
different
make,
people.
it's what they wanna make with you.
Yes.
One thing, Anthony, you're talking about, somebody mentioned about a grant writer. Well, we have everybody here, like, I have an NEIU meeting tomorrow night. You know, I don't know if the 20 members show up, but I know that they employ grant writers. Now, whether it's on a contingency basis or they hired them, that I don't know. But I know they talk about it there. I mean, is it okay if I just talk to them like, not, you know, just ask them some questions and bring it back to you guys?
Sure, Joe.
Because, I mean, I think that'd be a big help. We get some kind of, better on a contingency basis, and pay them for what maybe they bring in. There's gotta be money out there. If other schools are getting it, there's gotta be money out there. I mean, I don't know what they
I don't
get,
know what
but I
other
hear,
schools
but
are
I don't
getting.
know either, Rick, but I do hear them talking
I
about
know
it.
we applied for a couple state school grants this year. We've applied for grants in the past when we could have. Most grants, when you get them, not all, but most, have a connection to another component, like, you know, they said the reading grants. You get $100,000, but you had to buy $150,000 worth of books, and then you had to hire 2 teachers. Like, that was one that came in here about 6 years ago. So you got a grant for $100,000, but you had to spend $250,000 to get it, and then, you know, it was kind of embedded in your cost there, so I'm certainly open to any deal, if you wanna bring.
Well, how about if I do this, if it's okay with everybody? How about if I ask them just, not, you know, just off the record, just a casual conversation? If there's something definitive, I'll give you the information, you can call their business manager, or Anthony can call their business manager. Hey, maybe it goes someplace, I don't know.
Absolutely, John.
Thank you.
Okay. Last thing, the budgetary reserve, I always budget 150,000 in there for unexpected costs, and that way, like this year, if we go over with, you know, certain purchase service costs or under what revenue that's there, just as a cushion. So in summary, this is where it gets scary. You'll see that, you know, last year we did budget a deficit, 1.1 million. I'm hoping to come in a little bit better than that. Hoping to come in at $900,000 deficit. Still sounds bad, but it was better than budgeted. This year, without a tax increase, as everything stands now, it's a 1.489 deficit. If we did do the tax increase to 212, it could bring it down to 1.2. So that's why I'm recommending that with this large a deficit, and then when you go to the 5-year plan, you can see that by 17-18, negative fund balance. And that's what I want to try to avoid. And I know there's a lot of school districts a lot worse shape than we are. There are people that are in this negative fund balance right now or will be next year. I want to try to avoid that. Hopefully, if we can stay good until...
What happens to them the following year?
I don't know. I guess that's
The
what...
state has to come and rescue them. They can't let them drown. They're gonna throw them a life preserver.
Yeah, they're gonna make them a jointure. You know what the problem is, I think?
They can't.
They could,
They won't have buildings big enough to house the students.
Yeah, but what's gonna happen is, in my view, just listening to what people talking, I mean, I read some of the publications. If this guy gets in again, he's gonna push to have a regional high school, like a Lackawanna County High School. He's gonna cut off all the administrative and everything he has to do to get everybody in line.
But where's
Just
that,
call it consolidation.
where's the money gonna come from to build that giant building?
How's that gonna, it can't happen
Probably still stay
overnight.
in their schools, we just have one.
I don't know, John, but the thing about it is, I mean, what I hear from the directors from 04, and you know, it's only their conjecture now, it's not that they know, but they figure they're gonna be bankrupt next year maybe. And if that's the case, I guess the next option is jointure, I would think. I mean, I don't
I
know.
think that at that point, the state and federal government's gonna give them money.
Well, see, that would be nice, but then what about the other 500 school
Where are
districts?
they gonna get it?
Right.
Yeah, they don't have...
Well, if this guy gets back in there, you're not gonna have nothing.
The only way to do it is to join the schools. and
I
cut
think
costs.
someone's gonna win and they're gonna go after the fracking people. But how long is that gonna take in court?
Yeah.
Well,
It has to help out the school districts.
It's
Definitely.
not
There's
an
no-
extraction tax on the gas, that's gonna help a lot of these.
I don't, John, I mean, Matt would know better, but I don't think there's gonna be a court. I mean, you're the legislative body, if it passes, you tell them it's 10%, 8%, they have to pay it. It's like if your taxes go up here, the state, you pay 3.07 now for personal income tax. If they raise it to 4, you can't do nothing about it, you have to pay it. I mean, that's my feeling anyway, and I hope that happens, because it help out a lot of people.
It's gonna have to happen. The new
Sure,
government.
I hope so.
It has to raise money, it has to bail out schools.
But if Corver gets in, John, I'm not so sure about that.
And my concern is, I mean, there's 500 school districts. People are saying, well, they'll tax the gas, they'll get 500 million. Well, even if they gave $1 million to every school district, that doesn't even put it in.
Right.
That doesn't help us. That helps us for one more year. And we're a small school district. There's the Philadelphia school district, the Harrisburg school. They need a lot more than $1 million. I mean, what'd you find? Allentown.
Allentown City laid off over 100 teachers last year, teachers. 2 weeks ago, they laid off another 79 teachers, 22 paraprofessionals, 4 administrators, and they still had to borrow $4 million from their fund balance just to try to make it through next year. The City of Philadelphia went to their Philadelphia City Council and basically asked them to give them $215 million so they didn't have to furlough 1,000 people. They can cut it down to 750 people who are going to be furloughed. Pleasant Valley, the other night I read, they had to lay off 22 teachers. Pocono Mountain laid off 75 last year, the year before. We are at a lowest level of staffing that we could possibly be at. No one likes to raise taxes, but I think we have a responsibility. If you just go to the index, the way this is set up, if you don't raise to the index each year, then when your fund balance runs out, you cannot catch up to that. You're gonna be $2 or $3 million in the hole. You can't catch up to that because you have to go to referendum.
It's not fair to the taxpayer either, because you're waiting till the end and then hitting them with a huge increase rather than a little bit at a time. It's much better to let people budget a little bit at a time than to whack them down the road. That big tax increase, that's just not fair.
If you remember 5 years ago, we had a plan to raise 3 mills each year for 5 years, which would have given us 15 mills. And that would have covered the pension increases. But then they put this index in where you can't raise above the index, so we weren't able to go to those 3 mills. We didn't do it for 2 years, and then we only went twice with the index. So we're probably 10 or 11 mills behind where we should be. But eventually, this will come and bankrupt the school district if we don't keep up with it the best that we can without overburdening people either. We all are aware of that, and we all pay taxes, and we all know people who pay taxes, but it's very difficult. And, you know, the pension is a major culprit. In our case, special education is really starting to hurt us. So we're recommending to go to the index at least this year.
Are you done with that?
Yeah, just the last page is that 5-year forecast, which, like I said, shows us, you know, out of money by 17, 18, which is not that far down the road when you really think about it.
Yeah, they go negative pretty quick there,
Yeah.
if you take a look at that.
Okay, moving on.
I think that's all we have.
I just want to bring up the public participation that we had at the last meeting. We all have our rules that we had published and that are part of the policy that the school has. One of the problems we've been running into is we've been really lax in terms of enforcing anything, and that's a good thing, because you really want to give everybody an opportunity to speak and to give us any ideas or concerns that they have. I myself overreacted at that meeting, and we do have certain restrictions and limitations, but I think we need to look at these again and take an opportunity to decide what we want to do in terms of regulations. Obviously, our present timeline is 2 minutes to give to somebody, and I don't think that's a fair amount. I think we should probably increase that a little bit. That's my own opinion.
We never enforced
No.
2 minutes.
And I just think that maybe we need to sit down and come up with something that's fair. One of the things I do think is that we can't have 2 and 3 people coming up at one time and talking together. And we've kind of let that happen over the last couple of months, where I think it was 2 people came up and they both were talking to the board. And it's very difficult for the person who's taking the minutes to record who's talking and going back and forth. So I think we need to enforce, and I'm going to ask John Farris, who's the president, that only one person should come up at a time and state their name and what they're going to talk about, and then we can record it, or at least put down what they said. I really think that we have to restrict just the handouts that we've been getting. I mean, I think the superintendent has to take those and make those decisions. And I did say that at the last meeting, but we need to take a hard look at how we're running the meetings, so that everybody gets the recordings down and people get to make whatever comments they need to make. And I think you need to give them more time.
If there's any handout, maybe we could talk about having them dropped off here on Mondays.
Yeah.
They can do that, they can
We can
put them there
discuss it.
upstairs, I can bring them down to the board
I
room
mean,
after and
in
hand
the
them
same
out.
token, I mean, if someone comes with a handout, the handout probably should either be presented to the chairman of the board or the superintendent. Let them take a look at it, what the person's topic is, and let them decide if that handout is going to be necessary for us to look at. If not, then they can just say that we will distribute this to the board after the meeting. I mean, I think it would be up to the chairman of the board and the superintendent. If someone comes up with it and they want to give something out, and if you feel it's pertinent regarding that topic, I have no problem having a handout sitting in front of me. However, again, if it's something that you feel that we can discuss afterwards or at another time, then so be it. That's just my
hard
opinion.
to get a handout and read it and try and understand it while you're sitting there and trying to listen to the person who's talking too, and you're trying to read it and then process what they're saying in the handout and what they're
I
talking
agree,
about.
but maybe you can have the policy saying, well, you don't prefer if anybody's gonna hand something out to bring it down ahead of time, but I don't think, I wouldn't discourage anybody if they came that night that they couldn't get down to give it to us. I mean, that's where I was elected. I mean, I was elected to listen to the people, and obviously if they have a handout, and again, we feel that it's pertinent, I personally feel I have no objection to looking at a handout.
Don't you think the handout should come before the meeting?
I said that, what I said was, it should be handed out if they can get it prior to whether Monday, Tuesday, or Wednesday. But if something happened that they couldn't get it, he's gonna make the final decision whether he's gonna pass it out to the board anyway, or the chairman of the board, if they feel that that's pertinent, a
But you
pertinent
can't put
topic.
that on him, that meeting. You know what I'm saying? If
Well-
somebody walks in with a handout, how's Mr. McDonald gonna read it and determine whether or not it's appropriate and whether or not he should distribute it?
It's too much to
We
digest.
We
and
have
just
to,
slide
we
there.
have to have it on Monday, no discussion on it.
May
right?
I
I
say,
don't
our-
want
our
handouts
plate-
coming up on
no.
the night of the meeting.
Our plate is full when we go up there.
Right.
Now, to bring a new topic to the board, which we haven't discussed or seen previous to this, is not fair.
Right.
Anything that should be done, a handout should be presented here at a work session or brought into the superintendent 2 or 3 days ahead of the work session, so we could absorb it and get to what we want to do
And
with
if
it.
somebody wants to say, listen, I wanna bring this up, but I don't have, time to, I didn't give it to you on Monday, okay, give it to us now, and we'll talk about it next meeting. But we can't talk about it that evening without an opportunity to review it and talk about it.
There's no
Maybe that-
readiness to
maybe
the
that-
topic.
maybe
And
that's-
if you don't have readiness, you can't
You can't
really
realize
understand
it.
what the heck you're doing.
Right.
That's
It's not fair.
my situation.
Maybe that's a good idea, like, in other words, if they wanted a handout to illustrate what their point is, it's hard to read it and digest it then and there, so we'll take it under advisement the following meeting.
But are you gonna allow them to make that point? They should be allowed, they're allowed to make any point they wanna make, whether the handout's there or not. I mean, again, here's someone coming up, and whether they're having a handout or not, they're bringing something up to us.
We never stop.
We're not
No.
saying, and again, I'm not saying they can't discuss, they can discuss whatever
Right.
they want. It's just relying on handouts to give to us.
We
and-
can
and
use
say-
the handout as a backup after they discuss to look at it, that's fine too.
It's a meeting.
I just
It's a
don't
meeting,
wanna
not a
turn,
seminar.
I don't
Yeah,
wanna
if
turn
somebody
down, I
wants-
don't wanna turn down anybody giving us information.
But I don't want us put in a position.
To come in and they can answer that.
Right off the
Well, you
top
don't
of our
have
head,
all-
no,
no,
it's
no.
not right to do that.
You don't know
That's not how
that
you
you have to
present something.
discuss all the fine points, the good points and the bad points of whatever
I'll
the
sit there for half
situation
an hour
is.
and listen,
Right.
but give me the copy first so I can go over it.
Or
And give me the
afterwards, as you said,
background.
we can come back and respond the next
I
meeting.
mean, it's like going into surgery. Here's my scalpel. What do I do with it?
Well,
You gotta have some
I
kind of
have to
background.
have some knowledge and background of what's going on.
And that's why I think that if people
That's
have good
decent.
ideas that they wanna present,
Very good.
that's great, they should give them to the superintendent, give him the handout, he'll bring it to us at our Monday meeting saying, this is what, and then Wednesday night, when the people wanna come up and say, here's my great idea, I gave it to the superintendent, he either liked it or he didn't, but, this is what I think you should do, at least then we have a background and we can make a decision
Talking about it.
with some type of knowledge of where their position is, rather than trying to read a handout while the person is talking, that's where,
Even if it's dropped off here on Thursday or Friday before the third Wednesday, then the superintendent has, say, the weekend and Monday's work session to find a solution, or find an answer. What good is it really at a meeting? You can't comprehend it, digest it, and have an opinion on it while you're still going, when you're gonna go through a whole meeting. This doesn't make sense. It can't be done in my opinion. So we're better off at the latest getting it on the Friday before the third Wednesday. And then the superintendent has time to look it over, digest it, and bring it to us on Monday.
now our policies has always been that comments on agenda items and all public comments should be directed to the presiding officer, and that you cannot question board members individually. Is anybody interested in changing that?
No, I don't want to change it. You can't be asking 9 people the same question.
No, you're not up there to have a debate.
Okay.
Make their point, we'll digest it at a meeting,
Right.
go over it, come up with a solution or an answer.
Okay. I just wanted to go over that and
Rick,
clarify that at the next
I asked you
meeting.
to check on this. This is current, 2014 Pennsylvania School Board Association.
This is our policy revised in 2009, John. I got 4 or 5 samples from 2014. They're all very, very similar. Some have differences in them. I think ours, when you review it, it answers most questions adequately.
Who is in charge of this? Each individual school has to adopt their own
Policy, but
Yes.
they're
And
all.
this is recommended by Pennsylvania School Board Association.
Right.
And this is what they're recommending now. Okay. Anybody else have any questions?
That's what they recommended, John, in 2009, but